Annie from the Pleasant Hills Public Library, and I'm so excited you could join me today for STEAM Stories. Today we are going to be talking all about outer space and the dreams and hard work it takes to get there. But before we get to our stories, let's revisit the word STEAM. Do you remember what all the letters stand for? Science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And we will be using all of those subject areas to learn a little bit more about the first African American woman in space, Mae Jemison, and the rockets that took her there. Our title story today is Mae Among the Stars, written by Roda Ahmed, illustrated by Stasia Burrington, and read today with HarperCollins Publishing. And it's going to tell us a little bit more about Mae's upbringing and what led her to want to be an astronaut. And there you can see she's floating in space. Little Mae was a dreamer. They say that daydreamers never succeed, but little Mae was different. One day, Mae was working on an assignment for school about what she wanted to be when she grew up. Well, what will you tell them, Mae? I will tell them I want to see Earth. Well, this is Earth, Mae, her mother said. The flowers, the grass, the forest, and the mountains. We live on Earth. Well, I know, but I want to see Earth from out there. That's an amazing plan, little Mae. Then you have to become an astronaut. That way you can see Earth from space. Astronaut? Do you think I can do that? Of course you can. If you can dream it, if you believe it, and work hard for it, anything is possible. Mae asked her mom to take her to the library, and she searched for books about space and astronauts. We have many, many good books here at this library about space and astronauts, so if you would like to check any out, let us know. After dinner, Mae drew pictures of space, and she even made her own astronaut costume out of an old orange curtain and cardboard boxes. Later, she asked her dad, but how do I become an astronaut? It seems impossible.
Oh, you'll find your way, Mae, because if you dream it, believe in it, and work hard for it, anything is possible.
But space is so far away.
It's closer than you think, little Mae, and you may get there sooner than you think.
So they're looking in a telescope to see the stars. That night, Mae had a happy dream. She was dancing in space, surrounded by billions of sparkling stars. Below her, she could see Earth floating and turning like a shiny crystal ball. The next morning, Mae told her parents about her dream. She wanted to tell everyone. And every time she talked about it, her eyes would light up. In the classroom, Miss Bell told everyone to stand in line on the rug. Today, we are going to share our dreams about the future. What do you want to be, and what do you want to do when you grow up? Who wants to go first? I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a teacher.
Football player.
I want to be a mom. I want to go to space. I want to be an astronaut. All the kids started laughing. Miss Bell asked, Mae, are you sure you don't want to be a nurse? Nursing would be a good profession for someone like you. I don't want to be a nurse. I want to be an astronaut. Well, Mae felt very disappointed. On her way home from school, Mae was quiet. She looked out the car window. Her world turned blue and cold. Nothing was the way it used to be. At home, Mae started crying. Miss Bell said I can't be an astronaut. What a silly thing to say, said her mother. She told me I should be a nurse instead, said Mae. Her mom wiped away her tears. Oh, my dear Mae, I hope you didn't believe her. Well, of course I believed her. She's my teacher. Well, I'm sorry Miss Bell didn't encourage you, but she can't stop you. No one can stop you. Follow your dream, Mae, and go to space. Thank you, Mom. I promise when I get to space, I will wave to you and Dad from the spaceship. Her mom took her hand and they started dancing. You must always repeat to yourself, if I can dream it, if I can believe in it, and if I work hard for it, anything is possible. Well, Mae went on dreaming, believing, and working really hard. And guess what? She went to space and waved to her mom and dad on Earth. And now let's learn a little bit more about this amazing woman. Mae Jemison was born on October 7th in 1956 in Decatur, Alabama. At age 3, her family moved to Chicago, Illinois. She was always interested in science. Mae did well in school, earning her a scholarship to attend Stanford University at age 16. She later earned her doctorate in medicine at Cornell University in 1981. After working as a doctor for several years, Dr. Jemison decided to pursue her childhood dream and applied to NASA's astronaut program and was accepted in 1987. She was the first female black astronaut. On September 12th, in 1992, Dr. Jemison became the first black woman in space when the Space Shuttle Endeavour carried her and 6 other astronauts on 126 orbits around the Earth. She left NASA in 1993 to pursue other endeavors. She's taught at Dartmouth College, founded her own company, Jemison Group, and been the only real astronaut to appear in Star Trek. Dr. Jemison has proven that if you dream it and work hard for it, anything is possible. Mae Jemison was the first black woman to go to space, but there were many other amazing and remarkable women that helped pave the way. This book is going to teach us a little bit about 4 of those amazing black women. This is Hidden Figures, the true story of 4 black women and the space race, written by Margot Lee Shetterly and illustrated by Laura Freeman, and read today with permission of HarperCollins Publishing. Dorothy Vaughan, Mary Jackson, Katherine Johnson, and Christine Darden were good at math. Really good. In 1943, the United States was at war, World War II. Dorothy Vaughan wanted to serve her country by working for the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, the government agency that designed airplanes. Having the best airplanes would help America win the war. Making airplanes fly faster and higher and safer meant doing lots of tests at the agency Langley's laboratory in Hampton, Virginia. Tests meant numbers, numbers meant math, and math meant computers. Today we think of computers as machines, but in the 1940s, computers were actual people like Dorothy, Mary, Katherine, and Christine, and their job was to do math. Because Dorothy was black and a woman, some people thought it would be impossible for her to get a job as a computer. She lived in Virginia, a southern state, where laws segregated or kept apart black people and white people. They could not eat in the same restaurants. They could not drink from the same water fountains. They could not use the same restrooms. They could not attend the same schools. They could not play on the same sports teams. They could not sit near each other in movie theaters. They could not marry someone of a different race. But Dorothy didn't think it was impossible. She was good at math. Really good. She knew she was the right person for the job. She applied, and the laboratory offered her a position as a computer. At work, blacks and whites were kept apart. The white computers worked in one building, and Dorothy and the other black computers worked in a different building, in their separate offices. Even though they worked on the same kinds of assignments, the black computers and white computers used separate bathrooms and ate in separate lunchrooms. Well, America won the war in 1945, but Dorothy stayed on the job, still trying to make airplanes faster and safer. By 1951, the Americans and the Russians were competing to see who could build the best planes, and that meant more experiments and more numbers. Lots and lots of numbers. And more numbers meant the need for more computers. That's when Mae Jemison got a job as a computer at Langley. She worked in a group that tested model airplanes and wind tunnels. A wind tunnel was a machine like a huge metal box with a powerful fan attached. Mary put model airplanes in the wind tunnel and blasted them with air from the fan. This experiment helped her group improve their design on the models before building full-sized airplanes. Well, Mary wanted to become an engineer, but officials said it was impossible. Most of the engineers in the laboratory were men. And to become an engineer, Mary needed to take high-level math classes, but she wasn't allowed to go inside the white school where the classes were taught. But Mary was good at math. Really good. And she refused to give up. She got permission to enter the school building and take the math classes, and she earned good grades. Because she didn't give up, Mae Jemison became the first African-American female engineer at the laboratory. Katherine Johnson was good at math and always asked lots of questions. In 1953, she applied to the laboratory for a computer job and was placed on a team that tested actual planes while they were flying in the air. Their research was used to figure out ways to prevent future plane crashes. In one of her first projects, she learned how to analyze turbulence, or dangerous gusts of air. No one knows how many lives her work may have helped save. Katherine wanted to help the group prepare its research reports, so she asked if she could go to meetings with the other experts on her team, and her boss told her it was impossible.
"Women aren't allowed to attend meetings," he said.
But Katherine knew she was as good at math as anyone else, maybe even better. So she asked him again, and again, and again. Katherine asked her boss so many times that he finally invited her to the meetings. Katherine was good at math, really good. And because she fought to be treated the same as the men, she became the first woman in her group to sign her name to one of the group's reports. In the 1950s, the Langley Laboratory bought a machine computer that could do math faster than the human computers. At first, those machines made a lot of mistakes. Dorothy learned how to program the machines so that they got the right answers. She taught the women in her group how to program the computers, too. In 1957, Russia launched a satellite known as Sputnik into orbit around the Earth. The United States started building satellites to explore space, too. For years, the laboratory had used math to design airplanes, and now it would need math to create spaceships as well. The government decided to change the agency's name from the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics to the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. In 1961, President John F. Kennedy told Congress, "I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal, before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth." A man on the moon? But the first step to getting a man on the moon was to send an astronaut around the Earth. NASA was going to need to hire more space experts and more people who were good at math. Really good. The people at the laboratory had to work together from morning to night to figure out how to send astronaut John Glenn into space and bring him back home to Earth safely. Katherine Johnson knew she could use math to help. "Tell me where you want his spaceship to land, and I'll tell you where to launch it," Katherine told her boss. Katherine helped calculate the trajectories, or pathways, that rockets traveled through space. She had to plan Glenn's exact route, from takeoff in Florida to splashdown in the Atlantic Ocean. There was no room for error. No one was better than Katherine at solving these tricky math problems. Days before his mission, John Glenn wanted Katherine to double-check the machine computer's trajectory calculations to make sure it hadn't made any mistakes. When Katherine said the numbers were correct, Glenn was ready to go. On February 20th, 1962, Glenn blasted off into space, circled the Earth, and made his way home safely. Meanwhile, laws began to change so that black and white students could go to school together. Blacks fought for the right to sit beside whites on buses and to drink from the same water fountains. At the laboratory, black and white computers started working together in the same offices, eating at the same lunch tables, and using the same bathrooms. Black and white moviegoers could sit next to each other in the same theater. And across the country, people started to think about ways to bring equality to all Americans. Christine Darden was good at math, and she loved electronic computers. She started working at Langley in 1967. Christine wanted to become an engineer, and thanks to Dorothy, Mary, and Katherine, she knew it was possible. Eventually, she became an engineer for supersonic airplanes, planes flying faster than the speed of sound. But her first job was to help with NASA's mission to the moon. The people at the laboratory prepared for years to send astronauts to the moon, about 238,900 miles away from Earth. Finally, on July 20th, 1969, the world watched as the three men arrived at the moon in the Apollo 11 spacecraft. "That's one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind," said astronaut Neil Armstrong when he stepped onto the dusty surface. But it was also a giant leap for Dorothy, Mary, Katherine, and Christine, and all of the other computers and engineers who had worked at the laboratory over the years. The moon landing was a success from takeoff to splashdown, but there was no time to rest. Once NASA landed astronauts on the moon, the people at the laboratory began dreaming of sending humans to other planets, such as Mars, or Jupiter, or Saturn. They started to imagine hyperspace space planes that could travel around the Earth at 7 times the speed of sound. Now, the next adventure wouldn't be easy and would require lots of tests and a lot more numbers. But Dorothy, Mary, Katherine, and Christine knew one thing. With hard work, perseverance, and a love of math, anything was possible. And now it is time for STEAM! Our STEAM challenge today is to design and create your own straw rocket. And we are providing kits with all the materials you will need to do that. Our kits look like this. They include an instruction sheet, a cardstock template with a rocket already drawn on it, a piece of cardstock for you to draw your own rocket design, 2 flexible straws, and then 2 larger straws with one side taped off. You will need from home something to color and draw with, maybe crayons, markers, or colored pencils, scissors, and then tape or glue. So let's head over to the craft table now to learn a little bit more about how we make our straw rockets. Once you have all your supplies out, your first step is going to be to divide the straws into one that has for your template and one for the one you're going to design yourself. Each rocket gets 1 flexible straw and 1 wider straw that's been taped off. After you've done that, set one aside and focus on perhaps the template first. We're going to color it in. You can use crayons, markers, colored pencils, whatever you want. And there's no wrong way to do this. Make it as colorful or as monochromatic as you would like. Ta-da! One of the nice things about this is because we know we're going to cut it out, it's okay if you get outside the lines. I know I did. So now get those scissors and cut out your rocket. Ta-da! Now it's all colored and cut out. For our next step, we will need that wider straw that has one end taped and a piece of tape. You could also use glue if you had it, but glue takes a little bit longer to dry. You're going to find the open end of your straw, and put that towards the bottom of your rocket, kind of in the middle, and then tape it in place. Looks like I picked maybe too large of a piece of tape. That's all right. I'm going to secure it with a slightly smaller piece of tape. Fold these around so as they don't get in the way. You want to make sure that that little straw is very securely attached, so you might need 1 or 2 pieces of tape. All right, now take your flexible straw, find where it bends, pull it open, bend it like so. Uh-oh, my straw has a hole in it. I wonder if this will still work. Let's find out. All right, put your straw inside the larger piece and then blow out. Ready? 3, 2, 1. It still works even with the little hole. That's pretty cool. Now imagine if there wasn't a hole. How can I fix that? A little bit of tape might work. For your second rocket, we've provided you a blank piece of cardstock so you can draw and design your own flying machine. It could look like a rocket or it could look like something completely abstract. It's up to you. There's no wrong answer. So on your blank piece of cardstock, draw whatever you want, your design. Color it in, cut it out. And just like with our template rocket, we're going to then attach the wider mouth straw with the open part facing down on the back of your design. And then you will test it using your flexible straw. And see if you can get somebody else to help you. Maybe a friend or a family member can race and you can see which one flies the furthest. The opportunities are endless. We would love to see whatever you create. You can send us a picture or a short video to pleasanthills@einetwork.net or post it to our special Facebook group, Pleasant Hills Library Virtual Programming. Well, friends, I hope you've enjoyed this week's STEAM Stories. We'll be back on March 10th with the book A Rainbow of My Own by Dawn Freeman, and we'll learn all about rainbow science. Until then, I hope you have a great day and keep exploring. Bye!